In the early 1990s, a secretive group called the Order of the Solar Temple quietly spread across Europe and Canada. They believed that the world we experience with our senses was just a shallow layer of a much deeper reality. According to their teachings, what most people called real life was only a temporary illusion, one that distracted humanity from its true spiritual destiny. They taught that beyond the material world existed a higher plane of existence, one of pure awareness and divine truth. Their members were drawn to ancient wisdom, esoteric knowledge, and the idea that true freedom could only be found by transcending the illusion of solidity that kept people trapped in fear and repetition. They performed rituals designed to awaken a deeper perception of reality, aiming to reconnect with what they believed was humanity's forgotten cosmic heritage. To them, everyday life was like living in a dream, and real life was waiting just beyond the veil. While most people brushed them off as eccentric or misguided, the core of their message echoes something timeless, that the reality you think you know may only be a sliver of what's truly there. That maybe, just maybe, the world we call solid is far more mysterious, fluid, and alive than anyone dares to admit. 1. The solidity of the world is an illusion. Every day, people move around as if the ground under their feet is a solid, unshakable truth. Tables, buildings, their own bodies, all seem so firm, so undeniably real. But if someone zooms into the fabric of reality, they find something unexpected. It's mostly empty space. Atoms, the building blocks of all that solidity, are like tiny solar systems, vast gaps with little centers spinning inside. The so-called solidity is just an illusion of solidity that tricks the senses into thinking everything's stable. Imagine holding a rock in your hand, feeling its weight, its rough surface. Seems pretty solid, right? But beneath that roughness, there's a buzzing cloud of energy vibrating at frequencies the eyes can't see. Physics tells us that what feels permanent is actually dynamic, shifting constantly. The perception of reality as something firm and dependable is like seeing the tip of an iceberg and assuming the whole thing is only what's visible above water. In truth, most of the story lies hidden. This understanding isn't just for scientists in lab coats. It's something practical to think about every time life feels set in stone. That stressful job, that stubborn relationship issue, they're not as fixed as they seem. Seeing the fluid identity of situations lets people act with more freedom. Instead of battling an unmovable wall, they start seeing doors where they thought there were none. Real power comes not from forcing change, but from recognizing the silent movement already happening beneath appearances. And here's where pure awareness sneaks into the conversation. It's the part of someone that notices the buzzing dance of life beneath the illusion of solidity. When a person taps into that awareness, the world stops being a heavy place filled with obstacles and starts feeling more like a river, flowing, adapting, never frozen. 2. Your senses build a fake stability. The human senses are like old friends, familiar, comforting, and sometimes a little too quick to jump to conclusions. They build a smooth, steady world out of a wild, chaotic flow of information. Eyes, ears, skin, nose, tongue, all working overtime to stitch a normal reality so no one loses their mind at every little shift. But the stability they offer is mostly a trick, another illusion of solidity that the brain serves up to make life easier to digest. Take vision, for example. The eyes don't actually see everything. They grab bits and pieces, and the brain fills in the rest. That's why someone can miss the giant gorilla walking through a basketball game. It's not because they weren't looking, it's because their perception of reality filtered it out. The brain edits reality like a sloppy movie director, cutting scenes, patching holes, and calling it a masterpiece. And most people buy the ticket and watch without questioning a thing. This fake continuity explains why two people can live the same event and remember it totally differently. One sees betrayal, The other sees a misunderstanding. It's not that one's lying. It's that their senses built different movies from the same footage. The illusion of solidity kicks in hard when people forget that their experience isn't a live stream of truth. It's a curated highlight reel. Becoming aware of this means questioning the surface, digging a little deeper when life feels set. Pure awareness starts to shine when someone realizes their senses aren't the final judge. It's like standing behind the camera instead of just watching the screen. Reality becomes less about grabbing onto whatever the senses say is true, and more about sensing the space where all experiences appear. 3. Memory creates a false sense of continuity. Memories have this funny way of convincing people they're living a neatly organized story. From the first bike ride to last week's awkward meeting, it all feels like part of a smooth, solid timeline. But the truth is, memory behaves more like wet clay than carved stone. Every time someone recalls a memory, it gets reshaped just a little, bending to fit the current mood, beliefs, and even the suggestion of others. This fragile construction feeds the illusion of solidity in ways most never notice. Think about it. Someone swears they remember the color of the walls at grandma's house. Bright yellow, right? But a photo shows they were pale blue. That moment of doubt reveals a deeper truth. The perception of reality isn't just about what's happening now, but about what someone believes happened before. Memories aren't fixed. They're stories glued together with emotion and edited with every telling. And just like that, the foundation of identity gets a little shakier. When people understand this, it becomes easier to let go of old pains, grudges, or even outdated versions of themselves. No need to cling to the memory of being the shy kid or the screw-up. That was just one version written in a specific chapter, not an eternal truth. Fluid identity opens up when someone stops trying to defend every little piece of their past and starts seeing themselves as a living story, flexible, evolving, and alive. It's freedom disguised as humility. Pure awareness isn't concerned with whether the memory was right or wrong. It simply notices that the memory passed through, like a leaf floating on a river. There's something refreshing about realizing not every chapter has to stay frozen. Some pages can be rewritten without regret, and new ones can be started any time without asking for permission from the past. 4. The inner voice pretends it knows. There's a little narrator living inside everyone's head, chatting away like it's got a PhD in everything. It labels things, judges strangers, predicts disasters that never happen, and reminds people of embarrassing moments from 10 years ago. Most just assume this voice must be them. After all, who else could it be? But when someone steps back and listens carefully, they start seeing the illusion of solidity in every sentence the mind throws out. It's all just noise dressed up like wisdom. Take a moment during the day and really listen to the voice. It's like a broken jukebox playing the same old tunes, doubts, regrets, bragging, fears. Not exactly pure awareness speaking, is it? The perception of reality this voice creates is shaky at best. One moment it tells you you're on top of the world, the next it says you're doomed. Trusting it blindly is like letting a drunk guy steer your car. Things are bound to get weird. The trick isn't to fight the voice or try to shut it up. Good luck with that. Instead, it's about noticing it with curiosity, like watching a sitcom you're not taking too seriously. When the inner monologue says something nasty, you don't have to believe it. Just recognize it as part of the fluid identity, an endless flow of thoughts trying to pin you down into something solid. But the real you is the one hearing it, not the one talking. Pure awareness shows itself in the gaps, those rare moments when the mind falls silent without effort. It's not some grand explosion of insight. It's a quiet noticing, a subtle sense that behind all that mental chatter, something steady and untouched has always been there. 5. Identity is a mask of stability. From the day someone is born, the world rushes to put a label on them. You're a boy, you're a girl, you're smart, you're slow, you're polite, you're stubborn. Over time, these labels pile up like layers of clothing until a person forgets they're even wearing them. This patchwork of beliefs builds what feels like a rock-solid me. But if someone peels back the layers, they start seeing that identity is just a costume stitched together by society, family, and personal history, a fragile mask creating the illusion of solidity. Think about it. If someone who's always said, "I'm terrible with money," suddenly reads a few good books, like The Psychology of Money or Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and starts saving and investing, guess what? That old identity doesn't stand a chance. It crumbles like a sandcastle at high tide. Fluid identity means realizing you aren't locked into a role. The you from 5 years ago probably wouldn't even recognize the you reading this today. And that's not failure. That's proof you're alive and growing. Most people cling to their identities because it makes life feel stable. If you're the responsible one or the wild one, you know how to behave. It's comfortable, even when it's miserable. But when life changes, and it always does, those old labels start to crack under pressure. That's when pure awareness becomes priceless. It helps you step back and realize you're not trapped inside any particular story. You're the one watching the story unfold, free to change the script anytime. True freedom starts when a person loosens their grip on needing to be someone all the time. It's not about becoming nobody. It's about realizing you were never just the labels to begin with. Once that space opens up, you can step into new roles, explore new dreams, and dance with life without dragging a heavy mask around. 6. Control is a story we tell ourselves. People love feeling like they're the captain of their own ship, steering confidently toward their dreams. But the more someone watches life unfold, the more obvious it becomes that control is mostly a comforting bedtime story. Events happen, thoughts arise, emotions surge, and only afterward does the mind swoop in to claim it was all part of the plan. This sneaky trick deepens the illusion of solidity, making it seem like life is a straight road instead of a river twisting on its own terms. A simple example hits home. Someone plans their week down to the minute, color-coded calendar and all. But then life throws a flat tire, a surprise illness, or a random opportunity. Suddenly, the so-called control crumbles like a cookie. The perception of reality shifts in an instant, and the story of being in charge starts looking shaky. Holding on to the idea of control is like trying to lasso the wind. Exhausting and, frankly, a little funny once you step back and see it. Recognizing this doesn't mean giving up and letting life toss you around. It means moving with more grace, less panic. Instead of white-knuckling through every decision, you pause, you notice, you let pure awareness guide you through the chaos without clinging to fixed outcomes. It's like surfing a wave instead of trying to bulldoze through it. It's more thrilling, more alive, and way less stressful than pretending you're the boss of everything. Life becomes a lot lighter when control isn't treated like a battlefield. Small practices help too, like mindfulness walks without a destination, trying a new hobby without needing to be good at it, or even letting someone else pick the restaurant for a change. When you loosen your grip on needing to dictate every outcome, the fluid identity inside you breathes easy. 7. Awakening shatters the illusion of solidity. Most people spend their whole lives trying to reinforce the structures they think keep them safe. Careers, routines, beliefs, even furniture arranged just right. It's natural to crave a sense of order, but true awakening doesn't build stronger walls. It shows you there were never walls to begin with. The illusion of solidity that once felt like a fortress starts to dissolve, revealing life as a living, breathing dance rather than a frozen painting hanging on the wall. Imagine standing on what you thought was solid ground, only to realize it's actually a floating dock gently moving with the water. At first, it's terrifying. You want to grab something, anything, but eventually you learn to move with it. That's what happens when the perception of reality starts to shift. The fixed roles, rigid beliefs, and heavy expectations fall away. All that's left is a beautiful, unpredictable current that asks you to trust it, even when it makes no promises. This isn't about becoming reckless or careless. It's about stepping into life with the understanding that you are part of something alive, not something locked in place. Fluid identity emerges naturally when you stop gripping so tightly to who you're supposed to be. Instead of carrying a 100-pound backpack of self-imposed duties, you start traveling light, ready to respond to whatever arises without losing yourself in the process. Pure awareness isn't impressed by how well you organize your life or how many goals you check off. It simply watches patiently as the story unfolds. And in that watching, something incredible happens. You begin to live with less fear and more curiosity. 8. Awareness is the only true foundation. Strip everything away, the job title, the childhood memories, the personal quirks, and something stubbornly remains. It's not a thought, it's not a belief, it's not even a feeling. It's pure awareness, quietly witnessing the entire show without needing to jump on stage. While the illusion of solidity crumbles in every corner of life, this silent witness doesn't flinch. It's been there the whole time, patiently waiting for someone to finally notice it. Most people confuse themselves with the ever-changing characters they play. One moment they're the brave one, the next they're the anxious one. But when they step back, they see it's all part of a movie projected onto the mind's screen. The perception of reality might twist and turn, but pure awareness stays the same. Timeless, unshaken, untouched. It's not something you earn. It's what you've always been beneath the costumes and credits. There's a kind of practical magic in living from this place. Imagine handling stress at work, not by winning every argument, but by seeing the whole drama as passing clouds. Picture facing a personal setback, and instead of collapsing, you notice the part of you that's simply observing it all unfold. Fluid identity stops being a problem when you realize you were never limited to any identity to begin with. You were, and still are, the spaciousness holding it all. Living from pure awareness doesn't mean checking out of life. It means showing up fully, with your feet on the ground and your heart wide open, but without clinging to every story your mind spins. There's something wildly freeing about knowing you don't have to carry every role, every label, every moment like a heavy burden.